Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today I am very excited to bring you the patch notes for the patch we will be seeing tomorrow on December 13th with the DLC for Giant Shadow. It's going to come with a new map, a new grenade launcher crossbow for the support class, but also a whole bunch of changes to balance and other game bugs. Some of the highlights of this patch will be the inclusion of Spectator mode, something that a lot of people have been waiting for, significant shotgun balance and machine gun balance, and there's going to be a new custom game mode called Standard Issue Rifles, in which people are going to be relegated to a lot of highly realistic weapons, and overall there'll be changes made to try and portray a more realistic World War I experience. Alright, now let's get into the patch notes. Soldier movement has been improved. A lot of people were complaining about not being able to sprint from a crouch position. That should be fixed now. There's also been changes made to toggle zoom issues that had to do with movement. Aim assist on consoles has been tweaked. Basically, you now have to have some sort of movement input in order for the aim assist to kick in. So if you're not aiming or doing anything, the computer will not take over for you and start auto aiming at a target that might run in front of your crosshairs. So it's just been modified to be less invasive. When it comes to vehicle deployment and spawning, they fixed a lot of bugs that include spawning without the vehicle itself and just being, say, a tanker class on the ground. They've also fixed a few issues where you would spawn as like cavalry, but it would put you in a tank instead. And hopefully they've also fixed the issue, although it's not mentioned, where if you're selecting different tank loadouts, someone else can't steal your tank selection from you. So we'll have to wait and see if that gets fixed as well. The land ship, one of the most recognizable tanks from World War I, and frankly one of the coolest looking tanks in the game, has been widely underused because it just has been difficult to use. It requires a lot of teamwork, and solo players can often take you out or take out your weapons, making it somewhat ineffective. This tank has been modified significantly. Now it's got pretty much the same amount of health as the heavy tank does. Players can also now use it as a spawn location like you could with the heavy tank, so people can spawn into your gunner seats if you're already out on the battlefield, which is a big change because that tank is totally ineffective if you don't have gunners in it. And they've made significant changes to each loadout for the land ship. The tank hunter variant that had the tank gewehr as the primary weapon, that now does more damage and it should shoot more accurately. And this also applies to the tank hunter hero class, so you should do a little bit better against armor targets now. The mortar variant of the land ship now has 2 additional seats, so you have 5 in total, and you have increased range with the mortar. Then the squad support variant of the land ship, instead of having a primary weapon as a machine gun for the driver, you now have the 20mm cannon like the light tank flanker, which actually sounds really awesome, and I imagine we'll be seeing a bit more of the squad support land ship on the battlefield. Now, the emergency repairs on both the heavy tank and land ship have been decreased. They've been decreased more on the heavy tank. It used to repair 30% health, now it repairs 20% health, and the land ship saw a reduction from 30% health down to 25% health. So we're going to see a little bit of a nerf to the heavy tank and a big boost to the land ship overall, which should make it a much more viable tank. And it's definitely one of the coolest looking tanks, and I'm really looking forward to trying out the new version. Now, when it comes to aircraft, there's also been some significant changes. The fighter plane that had the rack and darts for basically taking out ground targets, but was also used for taking out air targets, has had a damage reduction against aircraft. So basically you shouldn't be able to one-shot other airplanes with your rack and darts, which was a little bit OP, and a lot of people were like taking out fully loaded bombers by just sneaking up on them. So hopefully that should fix this issue. That being said, though, fighters have gotten a boost to their overall machine gun damage, which is going to be really good, especially against other aircraft, and the bombers have basically been nerfed in the sense that they're going to take more damage from bullets this time around. So it's not going to affect the amount of damage they take from flat cannons, but people on their tail shooting them with bullets, it's going to do more damage, which will be good because it was actually very difficult in the fighter to shoot down other aircraft when they had tail gunners because you just didn't do enough damage. You'd have to do like 3 or 4 strafing runs, and even that sometimes wasn't enough to do enough damage to take out a fully loaded bomber. In addition to which, tail gunners have had a bit of a damage reduction nerf and damage drop-off nerf. It shouldn't affect bombers or fighters too much where they have a dedicated tail gunner, but say an attack plane that the pilot switches to the tail gunner, he won't be able to kill a plane on his tail as quickly anymore, so it's going to make that a less viable tactic. Airplane rockets have also had a speed increase. The impact damage has been reduced slightly, but hopefully the speed increase will make them a little bit easier to use. Now this next change here is actually a very big one. It's called line of sight, and this is basically going to make it so that when you switch to the third-person view on vehicles, especially tanks, the shot will no longer be coming out of the camera and instead will still be coming out of the weapon on the tank. And this is going to prevent the tank head glitching bug where you could basically behind a sand dune or behind a wall and shoot over that wall with the tank even though the enemy players wouldn't see you at all. This was super broken in my opinion, and the fact that it's getting fixed now is very good. Stationary AA turrets are seeing another balance change. The previous patch reduced their damage a little bit. This time around they're reducing the range a little bit. Previously they could shoot 400 meters, now they'll be able to shoot 334 meters. It's a little bit of a reduction, nothing too crazy significant, but it will make a bit of a change, and it'll make it so that pilots aren't being cut off from significant portions of the map just because somebody's in an anti-aircraft turret. Now when it comes to weapons, we'll start with shotguns here, as this is going to be one of the most significant changes. The Model 10A, especially the Hunter variant, was such a popular shotgun because it had a one-shot kill potential that was very far away. DICE has reduced the damage that buckshot does at further ranges. So you'll still have plenty of one-shot kill potential in close quarters, but as you get further and further away from your target, the chances of a one-shot kill are going to be significantly reduced. This is a great change, as the Model 10A Hunter, in my opinion, was just way too good compared to other shotguns. Also, the M97 Trench has had an extra pellet added to it, so it's going to be doing more damage per shot, and they've increased the drop-off on certain variants like the Sweeper. Backboard shotgun variants have had their ranges increased as they took too big of a hit before, and the 12-gauge automatic shotgun has had an accuracy increase. So each shotgun seems to be sort of trying to specialize a bit more in its own department, and hopefully they will be more competitive against the Model 10A. Also, the crosshairs have been updated, although I don't really know what they've been updated to, but we'll be able to check it out tomorrow. Now, machine guns have also seen a ton of updates, which is good. They're probably my least favorite weapon class, and regardless of which one you like using, you're probably going to have a better variant of it after this patch. The Hewitt, Lewis, M1909, and BAR have all seen, it says their minimum damage increase from 21 to 23, but I think they might mean their maximum damage increase from 21 to 23, since their max damage is 21 and bumping it up to 23 is a significant upgrade. It doesn't change the shots to kill, but if your opponent has a little bit of damage done to them, this is going to be a significant change. In addition to which, across the board, machine guns should at least have better aimed accuracy. At least for the initial few shots, you should be firing more accurately. So it'll bring skill back to the machine gun class a little bit more, and if you're a good shot, the weapon will allow you to take advantage of that. The Lewis gun has also seen some nice improvements, so instead of overheating at 35 rounds fired, it'll now overheat at 50 rounds. It's also got a faster reload from 3 seconds before to 2.8, and for the long reload from 4.5 seconds to 4.2. So in general, the Lewis is going to be a more viable machine gun. A lot of other reload times have been modified for a lot of other weapons, and if you want to read through them all in the patch notes, I'll put a link in the video description. For other weapons, the M1903 Experimental has had its hipfire accuracy improved and its overall accuracy improved. We'll have to see if this makes it a more viable weapon. There's a weird patch note that says changed SMGs and LMGs to use damage curves. I have no idea what this means. Does that mean they're changing the entire damage model of the weapon drop-off and everything? I'm not sure. We'll have to kind of wait on SimThick to unravel the mystery of that one. A number of handguns have been improved. The number 3 revolver should reload faster and fire faster now, so number 3 could be a much more viable sidearm. The M1912 is going to have basically better accuracy and less recoil. The Hellregal SMG has also seen a little bit of a recoil increase. I think it got a small nerf last patch as well, so I think they're just trying to fine-tune it a little bit more so that people just don't default to this SMG whenever they unlock it. Now, the mortars had a significant nerf in the last patch. Personally, I'm fine with it, as not seeing mortars was a-okay with me, but they are bringing them back up a little bit, not to where they were before, but just trying to find the sweet spot in between so that I guess more people choose to use them. And it just has to do with how quickly they recover their accuracy so that they can fire shots quicker and more accurately. Another significant change is being made to the syringe. I haven't been able to test it out yet, so I don't know how significant it's going to be, but there is going to be a cooldown now between revives. I've been told it's something like 2 to 3 revives will initiate a cooldown or revive attempt. So if you revive and miss, that can initiate a cooldown as well. However, if you're standing by an ammo crate, apparently this will negate the effects of the cooldown. So you can work with support classes to reduce cooldowns. I don't know how much this is actually going to affect the medic class overall, but I think it's designed to prevent the medic train effect where one guy can run in and revive 5 people in like 5 seconds. Now, as for medic and ammo crates, they now have a bigger supply before they run out. Not a lot of people were using these before. Also, they've tried to make it easier to deploy them. Sometimes you needed the right kind of terrain to throw down an ammo box or medic crate, and they're just trying to make it so that if the terrain is not happy with it, it'll just drop it at your feet or something like that. So it should make them a bit more usable. Now, there's a whole bunch of changes being made to hardcore mode. Apparently it wasn't received particularly well. Personally, I've never received hardcore mode particularly well. If you want to know about all these changes, they will be in the patch notes. There's quite a few of them, and I think they're just trying to balance it out more and make it better. It seems like they might actually give individual weapon balance to hardcore mode instead of a blanket damage change overall. Now, as for general gameplay changes, apparently there's going to be some changes made to the capture zones on maps like Monte Grappa, Suez, Ballroom Blitz, and Argonne Forest. Hopefully Monte Grappa fixes the sort of bunker capture zone area where people could just hold up inside of it. That would be great, and that would make that operation much more playable. Speaking of operations, they've tweaked how behemoths are going to come into operations. There's some new rules regarding that now. Apparently, if the attacking team is on their last wave, the defending team can't get a defensive behemoth or something like that. And in the Conquest game mode, the behemoth will not come in until there is actually a bigger difference in the tickets between the two teams, because the behemoths are a lot better now than they were in alpha and beta, and having them come in so easily if one team's just losing a little bit could be a little too powerful. So I think they're trying to make it a bit more fair in that regards. Also, airplane combat has been very laggy for me since the launch of the game. The last patch tried to address this issue. It didn't quite fix it, and this patch is going to try and fix the aerial combat, the lag, the rubber banding that occurs with it. So hopefully it'll get fixed this time. There are plenty of more changes coming in this patch alone. There's a huge amount of fixes and UI updates and all that kind of stuff. If you want the list, the full list for it, again, it's linked in the video description. We're going to get this DLC on the 13th, so prepare yourselves for some cool new content. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing out.